Um, for your bell ringer, on the board I have a question here. If you could get from point A to point B without any limitations, how would you get there and why? It's kind of a silly question, just kind of thinking about different modes of transportation. For example, ever since watching the Wizard of Oz when I was really little, I've always wanted to ride in a hot air balloon, so I think that would be really cool. So thinking of anything that you want, any type of mode of transportation, how would you get somewhere and why? And remember, there are no limitations. So give yourselves like 30 seconds to think about that, okay? Okay, Austin, is there
I would fly.
You would fly, and why would you choose to fly?
Because it's the fastest.
Awesome, that's a great answer. Anyone else?
Yeah, horseback.
Horseback, why horseback?
It's exhilarating and fun and all the animals, and I like to be involved in the journey.
Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna start writing these down just so we can think about them later. So flying, horseback. Kyle, what would you choose?
I'd probably say a train.
Okay, why a train?
Well, you know, like if you're driving, you have like stoplights and different turns and everything. Trains is pretty much
Yeah.
something about.
Tom?
I'd like to drive.
And why drive?
I can control my destiny.
Okay. So very like philosophical of you. True.
Can I say teleportation?
Yes. Oh, if only
Because
that.
that would be faster than everything else.
Awesome. Okay. So, hang on to that idea because we're going to come back to it at the end or discuss your modes of transportation later. Okay. So, I'm going to write yes or no, 2 different columns. And all I need you to do is give me a geographical term. And I've given you some ideas just in case. And I will put it in either the yes column or the no column. And you need to think of perhaps what concept I'm thinking of. So any geographical term.
Like mountain.
Mountain, great. Any others? Yes.
Plateau.
Plateau. Any other geographical terms? Yeah.
Canal.
Canal. Yeah. Anything else? River. You guys are having a lot of yeses. Yeah.
Ocean.
Ocean. Okay. Use some of the terms that I gave you and see if there's anything on there. Yeah.
Tropic of Cancer.
Tropic of Cancer. Anything else?
Prime meridian.
Prime meridian. Okay. Anything else?
Glacier.
Glacier. Okay, let's try 2 more.
Latitude.
Latitude.
North Pole.
North Pole. Okay, awesome. You guys have come up with great geographical terms. So by looking at the commonalities on the yes and what is on the no, can anybody guess maybe what my concept is? Yeah, Sandy.
Something tangible, invisible.
Okay. Okay, anything else? you came up with more, or do you think you can, do you want to keep going, or do you think you have another idea as far as the general concept?
It kind of goes on with tangible, like physical.
Mm-hmm. Physical, you want to say like landmark maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have any other ideas?
Almost like the, like along with the physical, but they sort of define the landscape.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I will tell you right now, that there is one of them that is correct. Which one do you think it is? Yeah.
I guess the physical landmarks.
Yes. And I would also add the define the landscape. That is my main concept, but there's an actual term for this. Does anybody know the term for a physical landmark, like a general one, or something that defines landscape? Topography, exactly. That is my main concept, is topography. So we want to keep that in mind. Okay, so topography. That is our main, one of our main concepts that we are going with right now. And remember that it's a physical landmark or something that defines the landscape. Okay, so what I want you to do is we want to look at some of the main topographical features that are in the U.S. So I'm going to ask you guys to come up to the screen and maybe point out where some things are, and some things aren't labeled, so you get some easy ones, but some things may not be. Kyle, can you come up and show us where the Appalachian Mountains are? Excellent, perfect. Would somebody like to come up and show us where the Mississippi River is? Sure, come up, Tom. Yes. Yes. Oh, here's just a side note, fun fact. If anybody needs to remember these states, which we're not actually talking about today, but I just can't pass this up, you'll see it if you see more of like a state map thing, but these states right along here, there's this little man named Mimel, and if you look, like, this is sort of the top of his chef's hat, here's his nose, here's his like round little belly, and here's his legs, so you can sort of see the profile of him. And so it goes Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, and Louisiana. So if you ever have to remember those states, you can think of Mimel. Just an FYI. Okay. Let's see. Can somebody come up here and show me where the Ohio River is? Yes, Drew. Awesome. Okay. Austin, I'm going to use you for something that is not labeled on the map. The Hudson River.
Maybe right here.
Yes, that is the Hudson River. Excellent. So those are some of the main ones. Some other ones that I want to point out is New Orleans, and that's where the Mississippi dumps out. And Lake Ontario and Lake Erie, as well as Buffalo. And does anybody know what was along here? It connected, it started in New York, went up the Hudson River, went through Syracuse and Rochester and Buffalo. Yes, Austin.
The Erie Canal.
The Erie Canal, excellent, perfect. Okay, so what else we are going to do is I'm going to create another T-chart, and you're going to think of some other, I'm going to have another concept for you, or semi-concept, I guess. inventors that we discussed yesterday. Just name an inventor, and I'll tell you whether it's on the yes or the no side.
James Watt.
James Watt. Yes. Austin.
Eli Whitney.
Eli Whitney. Sandy.
Robert Fulton.
Robert Fulton. Yeah.
John Kay.
John Kay. Yeah.
George Stevenson.
George Stevenson. Any others? Maybe one more. Sandy.
Telford.
Okay. Okay. So knowing what you know about each of these inventors, what do you think their commonalities are?
Whitney and Kay, those were guys that produced things, like they invented things that got produced, like the cotton gin.
Uh-huh.
And Kay, that was the something in textiles.
Right.
But the other guys,
Okay.
they're all similar.
How's that?
It's like Fulton wasn't up the steamboat,
Mm-hmm.
and Telford was like roads and
Mm-hmm.
canals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sandy.
Watt, Fulton, Stevenson, and Telford were all, their concepts were all related to travel.
Exactly. So all of these guys created modes of transportation. Like Tom was saying, Whitney and Kay, they created more products. Like Whitney was the cotton gin, and Kay was the flying shuttle? No. Yeah, the flying shuttle. Right, so these guys dealt with, like you said, more products that were sold or used for more mass production, whereas these guys all created different, furthered the modes of transportation. All right, so looking at our map, let me ask you a question. Back in the early 1800s, did we have cars back then? No. So how do you think most people traveled? Horse and buggy, exactly. So horse and buggy. But when you say like back in the early 1800s, we hadn't gone super far west yet. Most of the main cities and production units were all on the eastern seaboard. So how do you think that people got across? Any idea? Yeah.
Either very slowly or they didn't.
Exactly, very slowly or they didn't, because if you look at the topography, and this is where topography comes in, the Appalachian Mountains is a huge natural hindrance for moving any further westward. So what people realized was that the best way to travel was that they needed to come up with something new. So they either needed to use a boat or a train, or in this case, a canal was created. So clearly there was a need because the Appalachian Mountains was a huge hindrance to getting westward. So what happened was the Erie Canal, for instance, was created, where people would start off in New York, and then they would go across to the Erie Canal, and then they would go to Buffalo, and then it would dump into Lake Erie, and then they would take little streams and rivers down to the Ohio River in Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh became a huge epicenter of travel and trade and production. And then down to the Ohio, down to the Mississippi, and then down to New Orleans, and out into the ocean. So this route right here became one of the fastest growing routes in the country at the time. So how do you think geography and transportation go together? Do you think that there is a relationship between geography and transportation? And if so, what do you think that is? Yeah.
I think that, like traveling, I guess traveling along water is
Mhm.
an easier way to travel than, say, at the time, than say traveling on land.
Exactly. Traveling on the water was so much speedier than going on land. With the water, you don't have to expend that much energy. You just have to go with the current. Whereas on land, you have to worry about feeding your horses, feeding yourself, stopping, possible bandits, you never know, going across the mountains. So traveling through the water was much safer. Also, once railroads were invented, that was a huge help because railroads allowed people to go places very